We've got an update on Andy Serkis's upcoming The Hunt for Gollum film. There is a new rumor that claims that Viggo Mortensen will not be reprising his role as Aragorn, despite previous indications that he was offered the role, or there were actually talks with him to come back and join the film. Roll this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. This latest rumor comes from Caleb Williams at Night Edge Media. He claims that Aragorn will be recast with a younger actor for the film. We can look at his report right here. Not much to it, but he says, today we at Night Edge Media have learned exclusively that the character of Aragorn will be recast with a younger actor in the upcoming Lord of the Rings spin-off film, Hunt for Gollum. So that is basically the gist of the rumor right there. Viggo Mortensen will not reprise his role as Aragorn, and will be recast with a younger actor. And Mortensen had previously expressed openness to reprising his role. When asked about returning to it for The Hunt for Gollum, he told GQ in May 2024, so just a little over a year ago, he said, "Sure, I don't know exactly what the story is. I haven't heard. Maybe I'll hear about it eventually. I like playing that character. I learned a lot playing the character. I enjoyed it a lot. I would only do it if I was right for it in terms of, the age I am now and so forth. I would only do it if I was right for the character. It would be silly to do it otherwise." So obviously he was open to returning, but it really depended on what the story was and what the script looked like. He was very clear about that. In fact, just 6 months later, after he made those comments to GQ in December 2024, the film's producer, Philippa Boyens, shared that the production had been in contact with Mortensen to reprise the character. This is what she told the playlist. She said, "Honestly, that's entirely going to be up to Viggo collaboratively, and we are at a very early stage. I've spoken to Viggo. Andy Serkis has spoken to him. Peter Jackson has spoken to him. We've all spoken to each other. And honestly, I cannot imagine anyone else playing Aragorn, but it will be completely and entirely up to Viggo. I know Andy wants to work with him, but also we don't see this as like using AI. This is about digital makeup, and whether Viggo does it or will entirely depends on how good the script is. And he doesn't have a script yet. So to be fair to Viggo, let's see if we write a good enough role and that he can find enough in it to see that it's a performance he wants to take on. After that, it'll be between Viggo and Andy of how that is achieved." So given the fact of what we heard from Viggo in May of last year and what we heard from Philippa Boyens just a year ago in December 2024, if Mortensen is not reprising his role and this rumor from Night Edge Media is true, all evidence points to the script was not up to snuff for him. And that is kind of a bad sign for this Hunt for Gollum film, because if he is passing on it after saying he was open to it, and it really had to do with how good the script was coming from Philippa Boyens, indicates maybe the script really isn't that good. And that is definitely concerning. Obviously, we haven't really gotten solid adaptations of Tolkien's work recently. The last time we really had anything good was Peter Jackson's original trilogy. And obviously, that could have been improved, but those are absolutely fantastic films. Would have liked to have seen the scouring of the Shire in those movies. Unfortunately, did not get to see that. Obviously, massive issues with The Rings of Power, as well as that latest animated film that they released, The War of the Rohirrim. As I said, this is a very bad sign, given the source material the film is likely to adapt sees Aragorn playing a major role in The Hunt for Gollum. In The Fellowship of the Ring, J.R.R. Tolkien detailed the story about the Hunt for Gollum, with Gandalf informing Frodo this: light of sun and moon, he still feared and hated, and he always will, I think. But he was cunning. He found he could hide from daylight and moonshine and make his way swiftly and softly by dead of night with his pale, cold eyes and catch small, frightened, or unwary things. He grew stronger and bolder with new food and new air. He found his way into Mirkwood as one would expect. Gandalf then informs Frodo that he did indeed see Gollum in Mirkwood and said, "I saw him there." But before that, he had wandered far, following Bilbo's trail. It was difficult to learn anything from him for certain, for his talk was constantly interrupted by curses and threats. After recalling the manner of Gollum's curses and threats, this is what he told Frodo: "But from hints dropped among the snarls, I gathered that his padding feet had taken him at least to Esgaroth and even to the streets of Dale, listening secretly and peering. Well, the news of the great events went far and wide in Wilderland, and many had heard Bilbo's name and knew where he came from. We had made no secret of our return journey to his home in the west. Gollum's sharp ears would soon learn what he wanted." When asked why Gollum did not make it to the Shire, Gandalf said this to Frodo: I think Gollum tried to. He set out and came back westward as far as the Great River, but then he turned aside. He was not daunted by the distance, I am sure. No, something else drew him away, so my friends think, those that hunted him for me. As for who those friends are, Gandalf regaled Frodo, telling him this. The Wood Elves tracked him first, an easy task for them, for his trail was still fresh then. Through Mirkwood and back again it led them, though they never caught him. The wood was full of the rumor of him, dreadful tales even among beasts and birds. The woodman said that there was some new terror abroad, a ghost that drank blood. It climbed trees to find nests, it crept into holes to find the young, it slipped through windows to find cradles. Next, Gandalf explains to Frodo how he let the trail go cold, saying, but at the western edge of Mirkwood the trail turned away. It wandered off southwards and passed out of the Wood Elves' ken and was lost. And then I made a great mistake. Yes, Frodo, and not the first, though I fear it may prove the worst. I let the matter be. I let him go, for I had much else to think of at time, and I still trusted the lore of Saruman. However, with the help of Aragorn, he was able to pick it back up again. And he said this, and my search would have been in vain, but for the help that I had found, that I had from a friend, Aragorn, the greatest traveler and huntsman of this age of the world. Together we sought for Gollum down the whole length of Wilderland without hope and without success. But at last, when I had given up the chase and turned to other paths, Gollum was found. My friend returned out of great perils, bringing the miserable creature with him. What he had been doing he would not say. He only wept and called us cruel, with many a Gollum in his throat. And when we pressed him, he whined and cringed and rubbed his long hands, licking his fingers as if they pained him, as if he remembered some old torture. But I'm afraid there is no possible doubt he had made his slow, sneaking way, step by step, mile by mile, south, down at last to the land of Mordor. Gandalf then informs Frodo that Aragorn captured him after he had left Mordor. When he was found, he had already been there long and was on his way back on some errand of mischief, but that does not matter much now. His worst mischief was done. He then informs Frodo that Sauron learns from Gollum that the One Ring is likely in the Shire. Through him, the enemy has learned that the One has been found again. He knows where Isildur fell. He knows where Gollum found his ring. He knows that it is a great ring, for it gave long life. He knows that it is not one of the three, for they have never been lost, and they endure no evil. He knows that it is not one of the seven or the nine, for they are accounted for. He knows that it is the one, and he has at last heard, I think, of hobbits and the Shire. So that is basically the source material that they are going to be using to adapt this film. Clearly, Aragorn plays a significant role in that, as he is the one who actually captures Gollum after he is captured by Mordor and tortured and gives up where the location of the ring, the One Ring, is. So it wasn't a insignificant role, but clearly, based on what we're seeing from this rumor that Viggo will not be reprising his role, maybe he just was not satisfied with the script and the role that they maybe had for Aragorn. It's not out of the realm of possibility that they will be playing loose and fast with that source material there from Tolkien to craft an entire feature film about it. Again, not a lot to make a full feature film on. Going to have to fill in a lot of blanks. How the tracking is going on, how they're following him, etc. Obviously, they could add in some of the things that Gollum is doing, because Gandalf talks about all like kind of the myths about the creature in the woods and all of the evil, wicked things that he's doing. So you could definitely have a lot of that stuff be added in, and maybe the townspeople trying to go out and hunt him and do things like that as well. So lots of things that they could do to kind of flesh that out. But definitely not good news, I think, for The Hunt for Gollum, with Viggo Mortensen rumored not to reprise his role as Aragorn, especially after we heard from both him and producer Philippa Boyens basically saying that he would basically be on if the script was good, and it looks like he's not going to be on now. But definitely a story we will be keeping track of here. Let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below.